Exodus 38, Part 1. Bezalel used acacia wood to construct the square altar of burnt offering. It was 7.5 feet wide, 7.5 feet long, and 4.5 feet high. He then carved horns on each corners so that they would be in one piece with the altar. The altar was then overlaid with bronze. Bezalel also made the altar utensils from bronze. This includes ash buckets, shovels, basins, meat forks, and fire pans. And he then made a bronze grating and installed it on the bottom half of the altar. He then casted 4 rings and attached them to the corners. 2 poles were then made from acacia wood, which were then inserted through the rings. Then the poles were then overlaid with bronze. The altar was hollow on the inside, and it was made from planks. Then Bezalel made a bronze wash basin and its bronze stand, and he made them from the bronze mirrors donated by the women who served at the entrance of the tabernacle. And Bezalel then made the courtyard, which was enclosed with finely woven linen curtains. For the sides, the curtains were both 150 feet long in total, and they were held up by 20 posts, set securely in 20 bronze bases. For the back side, the curtains were 75 feet long in total, and they were supported by 10 posts, set into 10 bases. For the front side, the curtains were divided into 3 parts. The outer parts were made of finely woven linen, and each measuring 22.5 feet long in total, which were supported by 3 posts, set into 3 bases. Then the curtain for the entrance was made of finely woven linen and embroidered with blue, purple, and scarlet thread. It was 30 feet long and was supported by 4 posts set securely in 4 bronze bases. The height of all the curtains in the courtyard was 7.5 feet, and they were all hanged using silver hooks and rings. The tops of the posts of the courtyard were also overlaid with silver, while the tent pegs were all made of bronze. And Moses ordered the Levites to make an inventory of materials used in building the tabernacle of the covenant. And Ithamar son of Aaron recorded everything. Overall, the people gave 2,193 pounds of gold, which was used throughout the tabernacle. The people also gave 7,545 pounds of silver, which came from the tax collected from each man registered in the census. This census recorded a total of 603,550 men who were 20 years old and above. 7,500 pounds of silver was needed for the 100 bases for the sanctuary walls and the inner curtain posts, with each base requiring 75 pounds. And 45 pounds of silver was needed to make the hooks, rings, and to overlay the top of the posts. The people also gave 5,310 pounds of bronze, which was used for casting the bronze altar with its bronze grating and utensils, the bases for the posts of the tabernacle entrance, the bases for the posts of the courtyard, and for all the tent pegs in the tabernacle and the courtyard.
Alright, Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushua, Bahasham Rachakwadash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders, a great millstone, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be, Shalom, Yahshua, Shalom. Alright, so Exodus chapter 38, it says, building the altar of burnt offering. Alright, and you see earlier reference we already read, Exodus chapter 27. Alright, so this would be straightforward to the point because most of it is pretty much just short chapter and just retelling of the same things. So it says, next Bezalel used acacia wood to construct the square altar of burnt offering. It was 7.5 feet wide, 7.5 feet long, and 4.5 feet high. He made horns for each of its 4 corners so that the horns and altar were all one piece. So he overlaid the altar with bronze. Then he made all the altar utensils of bronze, the ash buckets, shovels, basins, meat forks, and fire pans. Next, he made a bronze grating and installed it halfway down the side of the altar under the ledge. He cast 4 rings and attached them to the corners of the bronze grating to hold the carrying. Is beautiful how it mentions so much bronze because, the controversial topic, right? With at least not for our point, but from others, right? When you're dealing with Yahushua, it talks about mentioning the bronze there, feet or brass in particular, what it says there, or like it burned in the furnace. Okay, and so we know this will look, this brownish tone, right? Golden brownish, depending on the heat put to it. But in Yahushua's case, talking about a very dark skin, right? So we know he was a brown skinned man. And then they'll try to say, well, he was just Middle Eastern. And what they'll do when they say that, because you may think they're being generous when they say that, to try to say, okay, he was brown. But they say that to try to make him seem like he was like an Ishmaelite or something else, right? No, he was an Israelite, tribe of Judah, and the scriptures say that. So it says he made the poles. He made the poles from acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze. He inserted the poles through the rings on the sides of the altar. The altar was hollow and was made from planks. So it says building the wash basin, right, where they would, pretty much cleanse their hands at. Bezalel made the bronze wash basin and its bronze stand from bronze mirrors donated by the women who served at the entrance of the tabernacle. Which I'm glad that that's here, because when you go to the book of First Samuel, you have sons of, who was it? Who was that priest? Was it I can't remember the name. Was it No, it wasn't Elkanah. Because I believe Elkanah was Samuel's father. Eli was the priest at the time. Okay. It wasn't Kish. That was Saul's father. Who was it? Who was it, man? I forget. But he had sons, all right. He had sons, all right, who basically were wicked, all right. They would, like, the meat offerings that people would bring, they would take they would take the fork, all right, one of those forks that were just mentioned, right? They would take the fork, and while the meat was still cooking, and just take out a big, whatever came up, that's what they would take, all right, of the sacrifice, all right, that people were offering, to the Lord. They would just come in wicked as hell and just pick up, and whatever meat came up, they take it to themselves and whatever, right? In a very arrogant manner. And then they also, which the point I was trying to get to, is that they were enticing the women, all right, who were at the entrance of the tabernacle and having sex with them and stuff like that, all right? So, and I was just making that, both those things together to show you that, there were reasons why there were, women, not saying the reason why the women were there to entice them, or there was reasons why women were sitting, as served at the entrance of the tabernacle, all right? So it says Bezalel made the bronze wash basin and its bronze stand from bronze mirrors donated by the women who served at the entrance of the tabernacle. So it says building the courtyard. It says then Bezalel made the courtyard, which was enclosed with curtains made of finely woven linen. On the south side, the curtains were 150 feet long. All right, that's a good bit of stretch there. It says they were, I believe, did we go into that the last time? I think it's like 1.5 18-wheelers. Okay. Yeah, I believe we talked about that. Like, what, 1.5 18-wheelers. Okay. Or something like that. It was something like that we went into. Okay. But like I said, if you can just kind of envision that, okay, you see, it wasn't really a small little sanctuary. It actually pretty decent size there. Okay. What the Israelites were constructed to build. It wasn't just some little small thing, So it says they were held up by 20 posts set securely in 20 bronze bases. He hung the curtains with silver hooks and rings. He made a similar set of curtains for the north side, 150 feet of curtains held up by 20 posts set securely in bronze bases. He hung the curtains with silver hooks and rings. The curtains on the west end of the courtyard were 75 feet long, hung with silver hooks and rings, and supported by 10 posts set into 10 bases. To the east end, the front was also 75 feet long. All right. So it says the courtyard entrance was on the east end, flanked by 2 curtains. The curtain on the right side was 22.5 feet long and was supported by 3 posts set into 3 bases. The curtain on the left side was also 22.5 feet long and was supported by 3 posts set into 3 bases. All the curtains used in the courtyard were made of finely woven linen. Each post had a bronze base, and all the hooks and rings were silver. The tops of the posts of the courtyard were overlaid with silver, and the rings to hold up the curtains were made of silver. He made the curtain for the entrance to the courtyard of finely woven linen, and he decorated it with beautiful embroidery in blue, purple, and scarlet thread. It was 30 feet long, and its height was 7.5 feet, just like the curtains of the courtyard walls. All right, with 7.5 feet, I'm pretty sure you can generalize, how tall that will be. It says it was supported by 4 posts, each set securely in its own bronze base. The tops of the posts were overlaid with silver, and the hooks and rings were also made of silver. All the tent pegs used in the tabernacle and courtyard were made of bronze. All right. So it goes on to say inventory of materials. All right. So this is something different here that I don't think we've read yet. Actually, up above, a little bit up above, we haven't read yet either. All right. And if we can find something to attach to this with, try to give you a visual. So it says Exodus 38 and 21 says inventory of materials. It says this is an inventory of the materials used in building the tabernacle of the covenant. The Levites compiled the figures as Moses directed, and Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest, served as recorder. Bezalel, son of Uri, grandson of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made everything just as Yahweh had commanded Moses. He was assisted by Aholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, a craftsman expert at engraving, designing, and embroidering with blue, purple, and scarlet thread on fine linen cloth. The people brought special offerings of gold totaling 2,193 pounds, as measured by the weight of the sanctuary shekel. This gold was used throughout the tabernacle. It says, and yeah, when it says, where was it? Yeah, the sanctuary shekel, though that was dealing with a specific weight. All right. So it says the whole community of Israel, all right, the whole, we'll say nation. I don't like to use the word community. The whole nation of Israel gave 7,545 pounds of silver as measured by the weight of the sanctuary shekel. This silver came from the tax collected from each man registered in the census. The tax is 1 beka, which is half a shekel, based on the sanctuary shekel. The tax was collected from 603,550 men who had reached their 20th birthday. All right. So it says the 100 bases for the frames of the sanctuary walls and for the posts supporting the inner curtain required 7,500 pounds of silver, about 75 pounds for each base. And that's heavy. The remaining 45 pounds of silver was used to make the hooks and rings and to overlay the tops of the posts. Then it says the people also brought as special offerings 5,310 pounds of bronze, which was used for casting the bases for the posts at the entrance to the tabernacle and for the bronze altar with its bronze grating and all the altar utensils. It says bronze was also used to make the bases for the posts that supported the curtains around the courtyard, the bases for the curtain at the entrance of the courtyard, and all the tent pegs for the tabernacle in the courtyard. All right. So building this was very expensive, but the scriptures mention how the Israelites gave freely. Okay. And that they were giving so much that Moses had to command the people, hey, stop giving because we have more than enough. Everything that we needed to build, we have it, and we have way more than enough. So he had to tell them, you know what? All right, at this point, you guys got to stop giving. All right, because, we have enough. All right. But that was the end of this chapter, Exodus chapter 38. Another straightforward read. It's more so, like I said, having a visual of the things, which is why we try to find something to attach to it to try to give you a visual. But other than that, straightforward chapter. So Lord willing, you will edify to next time. Yahshua, I'm going to say shalom.